Hello, everybody that is watching. Thank you for attending Region 4 Zone panel. Tonight is our finance zone. So you can see our lovely panelists are here to answer all questions that we might have. So the purpose of this panel is to help answer questions about any of the positions that you were interested in. If you didn't know you had questions, I have some already planned out. So hopefully that'll help create some questions because, again, I say our panelists are here to answer and help you out, especially since applications for our REB are open as of today, all the positions. So hopefully this helps it out. So panelists, if y'all want to take this time to just introduce yourselves, we can start with Jared.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jared Butler. I am a senior aerospace and mechanical engineer at Case Western Reserve University, and I was this year's FRC chair.
And Karen.
Hi, everybody. My name is Karen Hubbard. I'm your Region 4 treasurer. I'm a junior at the Purdue University Mother Chapter, and I'm in biomedical engineering with a focus in pre-med.
And Ruby.
Hi, my name is Ruby Johnson. I'm serving currently as the finance chair. I'm a junior studying industrial and operations engineering at the University of Michigan.
Welcome. Thank you all for joining me tonight. So to get this started, what does your position entail for the people that may be thinking about your position but doesn't really know too much about it, or just to pique some curiosity? And again, we'll just go in this order of Jared starting it out.
Well, pressure starting first.
Yeah,
okay.
It is.
Well, as I said, I was this year's FRC chair, so a majority of my position was centered around planning and on-site firefighting at FRC. I did a whole lot of schedule planning for FRC, reaching out to local organizations and coordinating with them to see if they were able to attend FRC and how they would attend FRC and different things they would do at the conference. That was a majority of what I did this year. There's a whole lot more inside that position, inside that description, but I guess that's something we'll be discussing more within the call.
And Karen, what do you do?
In short, without quoting the bylaws, I am the manager of the regional budget for Region 4, and I have calls with the financial controller and the national treasurer to just kind of keep an eye on our budget and make sure that we're executing all of the goals within the regional chairperson's directive. So I would say that's pretty much my position in a nutshell without quoting the bylaws directly.
Ruby, what do you entail?
I basically raise the money, the funds that we need to be able to put on all of our programs and the conference throughout the region. And the money, of course, is allocated also to chapters that need chapter relief. I also serve as the primary corporate liaison for the region. So any company that has to get in contact with us to sponsor us or do any other type of events with us, I'm the primary point person for that. In addition, I'm supposed to run the regional fundraiser. So.
And I forgot to mention this for our viewers. If you ever have any questions that you'd want the panelists to answer, please put it currently in continuously watching the chat. So once your question pops up, I will divert it to our panelists so you can be interactive and get your questions answered. Okay, so Jared and panelists. So why did you choose to run for or apply for your position?
Well, I remember when I was an NSBE junior, I would interact with some of the REB and NEB members, ask them about what they did. I was really interested. And then when I got to college, when I attended my first FRC, I saw the REB members walking around and doing a lot of stuff and a lot of tasks at FRC. I was like, I want to be like that one day, but we'll see. So as I progressed in NSBE leadership and I progressed within my chapter, I was chapter president my junior year. And then after that, I was like, what am I going to do next year? So I had a conversation with some people in my chapter. I had a conversation with Nia Simmons, who was the membership chair at the time. And all of them inspired me to run for the IB. And that's where I'm right now. So yeah, it's been very helpful. It's been very beneficial. So
Oh man. Well, I've been in NSBE for a very long time, so I was exposed to the REB. I want to say my freshman year of high school. So just like how Jared said, just seeing them like run around in conference time and like basically seeing them like run everything was super inspiring. So like since day one, I wanted to be on the REB. It was just a matter of fact of which position, and then when I joined the collegiate chapter at Purdue, I really just fell into the niche of the finance zone because I love logistical planning and conference planning. So I just kind of stayed in that realm, and I've been in it ever since. I'm kind of ride or die. I'm not really leaving.
For me, sorry, I thought you were gonna like Ruby. What's your?
Oh no, I'm
but
not
for
gonna do
me,
that.
so I was the finance chair for my chapter, and I was really good at it. And when I was going to look for a different position in my chapter level, I didn't feel like my skill set was suited for anything. I think I have a very specific skill set, and it was suited for being a finance chair. Um, and it just so happened that the like deadline was extended for this. I was like really procrastinating. And the deadline was extended for you to apply to be in the REB, and I ended up applying just because I knew I had the skills, but it was just like on a different level. I just thought it would be a good opportunity for me to grow my skill set and challenge myself. So I tried it, and I had a great time.
So basically everyone here mentioned that they had been on their chapter level executive board. So how was the transition from CEB to REB?
It was different. It's a different dynamic. So like before I was on the IB, I was chapter president. So it's different, like leading the chapter and kind of like pointing out like the vision of where we're going this year and all that stuff. I'm going to the FRC trip. And it's a lot less pressure too. So it's kind of more free. It's kind of more interpersonal with like the members. Whereas the FRC chair is a little less interpersonal and it's more stressful. But I feel like it's still been very like rewarding. I've learned so much about it. I believe we'll talk about that later too. But yeah, I've learned so much from it. So the transition was, I would say, kind of hard, but I had a lot of people to help me transition and learn the skills that I needed to. So it was in that sense kind of easy.
My transition was actually pretty smooth. Leading up to annual convention elections, I was in communication with my potential predecessor at the time, Josh, and he was just answering every single question I had. So I had weekly calls with him, and I would just have a list of questions to answer. So I felt like I went into elections prepared, and then I also feel like all the questions that I asked prior to being elected were like directly correlated to everything that I needed during my term. And also being on the REB, despite what your your regional duties are actually what you make it. And I pretty much did the same thing at the chapter level too. So like I was pretty much an overachiever when I was on the chapter board as well. So I made the position hard for myself because I really wanted to make sure that I left the chapter finances in a good state to be able to make me feel mentally comfortable transitioning to something else, whether that was a different position or to the REB. And since I did move to the REB, everything that I learned at the chapter level was pretty relevant on the REB level. I would just say on a larger scale. So of course, like obviously a bigger budget, but having those skills prior was super useful. Of course, I learned a lot of new things, but my transition was pretty smooth.
I would say the same for me as well. I don't think the finance chair job is one that's like there's a lot of work, but it's not a lot of mentally taxing work. So the transition wasn't bad. I was still contacting companies, putting out a lot of flyers, doing a lot of event planning. But those are things that I was doing on the chapter level as a finance chair. But if you are somebody that like hasn't had those necessarily those skills directly as a finance chair. I wouldn't say that it was something. It's not something that you can grow into. You just have to be really diligent in your work and really willing to take on the amount of work that it is. But it's like I said, it wasn't like this was the hardest thing ever. I just had to keep myself organized in regards to not letting like my personal life and like my academics and stuff like get all clouded trying to figure out my NSBE duties.
Sorry. So interviews that we have right now, again, ask questions in the chat. I'm watching, and I would love to ask your questions so they can answer it. But panelists, so besides NSBE, are you involved in any other organization currently?
Yes. So I'm involved. So I have a position on the Undergraduate Diversity Collaborative at our school. So I'm the vice president of campus initiatives there. I'm also one of the founders and advisors of the Black Student Union here at Case Western. And I'm involved with like the NSBE chapter here, of course, and the African American Society as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I do right now.
I am in the One Love. I'm in the One Love Foundation, Women in Engineering, American Medical Student Association, IURNet Volunteering, Minority Engineering Program, and then NSBE on the chapter level. That's it.
Sure.
Okay. Well,
yes.
I don't see that. I'm chilling in a cribbo. I volunteer with faith mentoring, and I also volunteer with another fraternity, a fraternity on campus with elementary students. And I'm involved in MSTEM, which is it's like a transitional program and that we have on campus, and also work with the minority engineering program on campus, but that's more of a function of just networking with them because of NSBE. But yeah, I don't do anything that they do. Can't say that I am that professional.
So all of you had a slew of things that y'all are doing outside NSBE. Y'all not busy, but so on top of those organizations, and then of course school, how have you been able to balance your NSBE responsibilities with all of that?
That's a great question.
Man, that's a really good question. I'm still figuring that out. But it's cool. It's all about like time management and about just allocating your tasks for the day and just outlining your tasks for the day and just like attacking those tasks, like trying to break things down into like fundamentals, like distributing those fundamentals and like attacking those things. So I have a planner that during when I was planning the FRC this year, I had like a planner. It wasn't like a traditional planner. It was just like lines. And I would just kind of like make my own planner. So I'll say, okay, I need to do this, do some other things. Yeah, no, that was very helpful. And then I could attach logging notes to different tasks I needed to do. And then kind of like working between NSBE and like other stuff. I got time for NSBE allocated in the day, time for other things allocated in the day, time for other organizations to be part of allocated in the day. So I'll only be working on one organization at a time instead of switching between a bunch of different things. So that's something that really helped me a lot.
Karen, you look ready.
So I'm a very avid user of Passion Planner, and I'm kind of OCD with like color coding and planning. So like this is what I use. And
the official planner of the RSP.
Everybody
we should get endorsed. We should get some money from Passion
We
Planner.
should.
You should get one, Alandra. And just like how Jared was saying, like time management, of course, that has to be stellar and on point. Yeah, that's it. This and then color coding and my calendar. So everything that's in here is also in my calendar with the same color.
So what was that planner called again?
Passion Planner. And this is the academic version.
I got the academic boy too.
don't know what I got, but this is heat too. I like this.
Okay, Ruby.
That's a great question. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna hold you up. I think there's power in admitting that you don't know. I have a planner. I'm notorious for like not using it though. I think that I'm serious. It's really bad. There's like big chunks of my passion planner where it's like a 2 week period where I just did not use that boy. But on a serious note, I'm making jokes. I think that my biggest thing that has helped me with my time management has been accountability. Like Karen, who's the zone lead, she's a very like in your face type of person. Not in your face, but like she'll check up on you if you haven't heard from her. And I thrive under that sort of like leadership and direction. So just having people check up on you. If I know somebody's gonna check up on me, then I'm more likely to have my action items done, or make sure like, okay, if I know that I need to allocate this much time to NSBE, then I'm gonna have to do my homework at this point, or else I won't be able to be in NSBE because I'm not a student anymore. So I think important thing to your time management, beyond like just having a planner and yada yada, is knowing how the environment that you work best in. Because when you know the environment that you work best in, you can better facilitate that environment and then get your work done and be productive. And then when you're getting things done, I think when you know that you can accomplish your goals, then you're able to get more things done. But when you're like seeing things go over your head all over the place, then you're like, well, I really don't want to try no more because I've been trying to do this stuff and I've been failing miserably. So just knowing how you learn, knowing how you can facilitate your productivity really helps you with that.
All very good points. So going along with that, how do y'all stay motivated with all of this?
I would say it's because it's just something like I'm passionate about and something I enjoy doing. So I try to not pick up anything that I'm not passionate about or something that I don't enjoy doing. Because if you do that, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Because when things get difficult, you're gonna start thinking like, oh, like I don't even like doing this. Like, why am I doing this? So everything that I do, I make sure it's something that like I'm passionate about. And then when I have those moments where I'm like, oh, I don't think I can do this, I don't really feel like doing this, I start to remember like why I'm doing certain things, like the specific reasons that keep me motivated and keep me going forward in whatever I'm doing. So that's something that I try to live by.
Prayer, journaling, and either daily meditation or working out or something else that's my stress reliever. So making sure that I have that kind of down to earth mechanism that I use to like bring myself back to the center, because it's really easy, especially in engineering, and especially minority in engineering, to become overwhelmed or experience imposter syndrome or just to be kind of stressed out by like daily life. So like I said, prayer, meditation, and stress relief activity keeps me motivated. And then also, I have very big goals, and big goals require big thinking. So average thinking is not going to get me through my day. So I have to make sure that I invest in a higher power. And for me, that's my faith.
For me, I just learned what drove me, which takes a lot. But I'm very purpose driven. So knowing, like I said, I became the finance chair because I know I had a specific skill set, and I know that the way that I think about how companies relate to the region, nobody else thinks like that. And that's not something that I say like out of like, oh, I'm so great, like I'm a regular person. But like just having that kind of confidence in yourself, like, okay, I am the right person for this job, really helps motivate me, because it's like if I don't do it, who is going to? And then that's one. But even if you don't have that kind of confidence in yourself, I feel like if you're a person, I'm also motivated by like the vision that NSBE has. The vision that NSBE has aligns with the vision, my personal vision. I'm a person that I believe that I'm striving and I'm working so that I can leave a legacy for myself that extends beyond my lifetime. And NSBE is working so that even in the even past us in the future, little children of color, little Black kids like us will be able to see themselves as engineers. They'll be able to make positive impact in their community, that sort of thing. Like, I'm willing to work hard for that because I genuinely believe in that. And it keeps you motivated even when you're like, we've been on this meeting for so long and I'm ready to go to sleep. But if you realize like the impact that you're having on your peers, on students, or even just changing the perception of us as Black people, or if you're a person of color or not a person of color, just working to help Black engineers succeed, changing the narrative of us as Black STEM students, then you're willing to work a little bit harder or do a little bit more, even if you didn't know that you had it in you.
Yeah. So that was a good segue. So, panelists, how does your position help fulfill the mission of ours?
Well, I would say for FRC, a lot of the programs and a lot of the events hosted at FRC are directly helping the mission and having that in-face interaction with the membership. So that's one thing that's special about FRC. A lot of the things that we do, almost all the things that we do at FRC are actually in person with the people that we're interacting. So if it's the NSBE membership, if it's the community, whatever the local community is, all the things that we do are right there in person with somebody, so they can actually see the benefit of NSBE, and it helps us to live the mission as well as the people who are interacting with.
I'm going to use an analogy that I heard 2 years ago at an RLC that I attended. And the treasurer at the time used the analogy that the REB kind of works like a heart. So the heart is the programs, and like the veins is like the membership zone, and then the blood is the finance zone. And without blood, you ain't running nothing, like you ain't going nowhere. So I've always just kind of kept that analogy in my head, because literally without proper financial planning and someone who can put those skills into practice, you can't really do anything. And of course, we have seen examples of where treasurers, of course not a Region 4, have not done a good job and have inappropriately allocated funds, and they weren't able to, for example, give out as much in scholarships as they wanted to, or give the amount of chapter relief that they had a goal set for, or even simply fulfill the chair's directives. So making sure that you're a good steward of your region's finances is incredibly important and very mission critical.
Just like Karen said, I want y'all to really think about what we're gonna do without some money. Like, I don't know. The finance chair's role is such an interesting one, because I think it's one of the most simple on the board, but it carries so much weight, because literally there will be times where I'm just looking like, okay, where are we gonna get this money from? We gotta fund this, we gotta fund that. But without those funds, the thing that we're really here in NSBE to do, which I feel like is the programs, and especially things like PCI and pipeline development, we would not be able to do in any way, or able to do effectively like we should be able to. So I think it's just important, as like we provide a good foundation for NSBE to succeed.
I agree. So again, another reminder, please drop your questions in the chat. I'm watching. I like questions. I enjoy interaction. So keep the questions coming. So for your positions, how did they help you grow as a leader or professionally?
This going first thing is a whole lot of pressure, but I got this. Okay. I would say like it just helped me learn a whole lot of traits that good leaders have. So for those of you not aware, so a lot of my position was planning FRC, and also ran the CPC. So a lot of like task delegation skills, a lot of trying to get a lot of like just targeting different things in order to achieve a goal and try to delegate that out to people. That's something that I learned. That's something I kind of developed as a chapter president. I developed more in the role that I am right now, because the stakes are higher, and you can't let certain things slip through the cracks. It also helped me work with my time management, as well as my breaking up tasks and trying to attack tasks, and just like professional communication skills as well. So a lot of different. I think this has probably been the most beneficial thing I've done in my entire collegiate experience. So I learned a lot from it.
I would say that it definitely forced me to grow in the area of time management and professional communication. Not only with verbiage, but just the creation of a paper trail to identify a timeline of events, because there were multiple occasions where sometimes things would slip through the cracks, but we would have to go back and like double check, okay, like where was the ball dropped, or whose responsibility was this, and like making sure that you have evidence of what you did when it comes to task completion is very important. I would say that another area that I grew in was separating emotions from business, because like there were a lot of times where it's just like you want to choke somebody, but it's just like, you know what? I could have done this better and you could have done this better, and I can say that nicely and we can move forward. So you just kind of like move out of the realm of like leaving emotions in the business realm, because that can prevent you from not only completing business, but from also reflecting that back onto the membership. So this position has had me grow a lot in those areas and more.
This position has really taught me the value of being organized. I'm a chronically disorganized person. A person that if you do not write it down, it never happened. You do not remind me, it never happened. And it's just helped me kind of confront that problem head on. And though I still need work, I've seen definite improvements. I'm a person that used to be extremely, extremely anxious, especially talking to people. Not very like a socialite, but I know kind of how companies work, and I could never get that knowledge. I could never use that knowledge if I didn't get over that fear of like letting my knowledge be shown. So I was able to overcome that a lot. It's also taught me about good business acumen. There's a difference between knowing good business acumen and actually practicing good business acumen. Like Karen was saying, like, I know that I should put things in an email. Things are not always emailed. And having to, and also knowing what I'm supposed to be doing and actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because of the environment in NSBE, sometimes it's very familial, but we still have a job to do. And I was never a person, I never thought that I was a person that would let like my personal feelings get in the way, but it's very easy to, especially when you're dealing with people that you consider your genuine friends. And it's easy to forget that we're all like in our 20s and have school and jobs and other things. But at the end of the day, the business has to get done. It has to get done to a certain level of excellence so that we can continue to have this sort of thing go on. So it just helped me analyze like those biases and kind of put a stamp on that in order to get what needs to be done.
So then, and Ruby, I know that you were talking about this earlier, but what leadership skills do you think are necessary for your position?
Oh, can I answer first?
Yep, go. Be great.
I think that I say this with a grain of salt because, like I said, I'm a disorganized person. But I think for you, if you are a person that's organized and like very prompt, then you will excel in this position in ways that I have not. It's not a necessity if you're a person that knows how to compensate, but it's just something that will take it to another level, because it's all about your ability to relate to people. Also, someone who is very confident, but you have to know that confidence shows itself in different ways. You don't have to be the biggest socialite. You don't have to be the biggest like outwardly like, oh, I can do this and this and da. Because if you do become the finance chair, you'll see that all of us from different regions, we all do well at our jobs, but we all exhibit our traits very, very differently. But our security is in the fact that we know what NSBE is here to do, and then we know how NSBE can help the companies that we're talking to. And if you just rely on that, then you will have the amount of confidence necessary to do what you need to do. And finally, I think being adaptable, somebody that's very open to criticism and things like that, because there won't be many things that you will have issue with because you are the master of your own domain. Like the financial role is one that's very separate from the scrutiny of others in the REB because I'm the point person for all of the relational things with companies. But there might be times where people want to see specific companies. People want to see certain things that cannot be done. You're just gonna have to figure out how to make it get done or be able to deal with the backlash of it not getting done. And then you're gonna have a good relationship with your treasurer to make sure that you're getting the finances and the finances are being allocated appropriately based off of what's going on in the region right now. And you can't do all those things without having an open mind and a willingness to hear the feedback that you're getting and then actually apply it real time in order to get it done. But these are things, like I said, I didn't have all of this. I knew the job and I knew that I had the skills to actually do the job, but I didn't have those specific skills at the time because I had to grow into them based off the magnitude of the RD. And it's something that if you're willing to, it'll come very naturally and you'll just sink right into it. So.
We'll go Karen. We'll just flip it all the way around.
I made a list. So I said communication skills, logistical analysis skills, Excel, preferably but not required, flexibility, the ability to ignite forward thinking, adaptability to different leadership and teamwork styles as his own lead. This is super crucial. Ability to function in a busy environment / high stress, and honesty. Something that I really want to capitalize on is honesty because there are going to be a lot of times where you're looking at a big Excel spreadsheet and you have no idea what the numbers mean. All you have to do is ask. And I feel like because we're in a familiar environment, you feel like it's comfortable to ask, but when you start getting professional questions, you don't want to be like, oh, like, I want to expose myself. No, you need to expose yourself so you can figure out what the best financial step is for the region. So just really wanted to capitalize on honesty. Next, I would say adaptability as a zone lead, because not only do you have to communicate with your counterparts within your finance zone, but you have to advocate on behalf of the finance zone within the admin zone, and then within the realm of like the finances on a national level. So making sure that like if you guys have a group chat when it comes to like, the other treasurers or like an email strain, you're asking all the questions that you need to ask, and then like also advocating on behalf of the region, like, oh, I don't understand this. Can you explain it? Just never be afraid to ask questions. That's a leadership skill.
Okay, so I made a list too. The first thing I would say is be organized. Similar to what Ruby said, it's very essential to make sure everything you have is organized so you can go back and look at your notes, and so everybody can follow what your thought process is on things and what you're doing. Be somewhat creative. So in planning the conference, you have a lot of liberty and a lot of freedom in what you want to see and what you want to implement in order to implement the mission. So try to be creative with your approach. If you want to try something new, like go ahead and try something new, see how it works. Try to be somewhat decisive. So sometimes I'm really indecisive, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. But try to do whatever it takes to be like more decisive. Like make a list of things, make like a chart of things, and go with whatever option is the better option. That's something I still struggle with, but it's still working out good. Keeping a level head when things get difficult. So at FRC, if you're FRC chair, you're gonna see that like random things just keep popping off. Even if you're on the RP, just things just keep popping off, and you just want to like stress out and just break down. But you have to keep a level head, think with a level head, and yeah, it's facts, straight facts out here. But like, you just want to level head, make sure you're calm, and just attack the problem in the most calm and logical way that you can. So that's probably one of the top things, if people are just gonna come at you all sideways, like, anyway, okay, I gotta be able to make sure this gets done. I just have to be able to right? And be able to take criticism and apply it. So in the planning process, there are going to be things that have holes in them. There are going to be things that aren't all the way planned through. People are going to point them out to you. So you have to be able to take that criticism and apply it to whatever the criticism was for. So you can come back with them and say, hey, I know this wasn't the best idea. Here's another idea. I revised it. How does this look? Instead of trying to fight the criticism, it's best just to go with the criticism and use that to make yourself better and make it. But yeah, that's the answer.
Okay, so we got a question, and the question is as follows. What are some challenges that you all face in the finance zone that you believe, if fixed, can take the region to the next level? Whoever wants to start it can start it. I'll repeat the question. What are some challenges that you all face in the finance zone that you believe, if fixed, can take the region to the next level for everyone?
I got it answered.
Okay.
So there are a lot of things within NSBE that have been the way that they are because no one has ever questioned them. So, for example, there were a couple things that I took note of at NLC, that's National Leadership Conference, for those who don't know what that is, where all the regional leaders meet and we get training. So there are a few things that I took note of that are just the way that they are because no one's bothered to change them or inquire about them. So I think that being inquisitive about why things are the way that they are can seriously invoke major change. Major change. I don't know what that is. Anyway, that can invoke major change and kind of stir the pot on a few things that have been like stuck the way that they are because no one's bothered to change them. So I think that asking the questions that no one else is asking can definitely push the region and even bigger the society in a different direction.
Are you allowed to give a specific example about one of the things?
I would say yes. If you can't, if it's like bad, you could just be like, oh, Carrie said I can say it.
Okay, leave this all on video.
Go for it.
What did you see, Carrie? I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh, funny you should ask. So there is something called the financials spreadsheet, and it is, how many tabs is it? It's like over 20 tabs. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and it basically puts out all of the financial information for each region as a line item and as a code. So like when I do the regional budget and I like submitted that draft, it comes back as a financials for like what we spend, what we have left. And it is one of the most confusing documents I have ever seen in my life, not only as a person, but as an engineer. And it is very difficult to interpret. And WHQ has been working with the REB and the NEB to be able to collect feedback and make changes to this document. So for example, one of the treasurers asked, hey, why is it so complicated to read? And WHQ was like, oh, for real? We didn't know it was that hard. So when you start asking questions that nobody else is asking, you can invoke change. That's Exhibit A.
Anyone else want to jump at it?
Oh, I think just maintaining, this is not a problem necessarily, but I think as a, this is just me as a financier, but actually communicating like what we're doing as a finance zone. I feel like the finance zone kind of operates in like this little island where it's like, do we got money or not? And that does not work. And that doesn't work because if you say, yes, we got money, then people try to spend your money. And then if you say, no, we don't got money, then everybody mad that we don't got money. So I think that just having a good communication, like, okay, we have this is the money that we have, this is the money that we raise. And that was my fault that sometimes our RB didn't have that information. But I was raising a lot of money in a very short amount of time. It was really crazy. Having that though, that communication open could lead to better like financial decisions. And to an extent, your treasurer is over that, but most of the time, the people who spend them, we get the money, we manage money, but we're not actually the ones that are spending the money. It's a lot of programs or membership and things like that. But people can get money happy, and it is your job to be able to successfully communicate, like, this is why we do this, and this is why we're not going to do that program, because it's not something that we think that we should allocate our funds for. And you have to be willing to be firm in that, be evidence-based. You know, you can't be biased. You have to be very objective in that, but just having that communication so that we know we can put ourselves in a good financial spot. Because there are some organizations, I don't know if some reason, but some organizations who do everything willy-nilly, and then at the end of the day, every iteration of leaders is having to start from the bottom up, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build on our previous success. So just making sure that you're being cognizant of that can help take you to another level.
And I would I'll go off both those points. This is not specific to just the finance. I'm just saying NSBE in general. I would say like more like out of the box thinking. Like there are a lot of problems that we do try to solve, and I feel like having more of the box thinking would give us new ideas and new ways to solving these problems. Like going off precedents help ensure if the program you're going to implement is going to work, but it may not necessarily be the best way or the most efficient way of implementing something. So I would say more out of the box thinking, more creative thinking, more creative thought, and all that good stuff.
All right.
Think like an engineer.
So what?
You said what?
I said think like an engineer. Don't reinvent the wheel. I feel like sometimes we be sitting in meetings doing things so inefficiently for our jobs to be like making things, like we're supposed to make things better, and then like when you sit back and look at it, it's like there's no reason that we should have made this hard, considering that our whole degree program, the whole reason we're trying to be in school is to be engineers, is to be people who are supposed to revolutionize the way that we design, the way that we create, the way that we execute. So don't just leave that at the door. If you think that something that you learned or a process that you learned, something to actually help, use that, because it will save time. Time is money. It will save a lot of time. And we're not being paid for any of this. So you want your time.
Okay, thank you, viewer, for asking the question. I have about 2 more questions, so if you want to ask some, please do. I'm looking. I'll ask it. We got no problem with that. So how did y'all prepare for the election/appointment process? Who want to start? I know. Wait. No?
Okay, I'll start, I guess. I wasn't elected/appointed at national convention. After nationals, I applied and then interviewed with RIB. So I kind of looked at the speeches that they gave, that Ruby and Karen gave at national convention. I took some notes, some points down, and I just made sure. You said what?
I said you paid attention.
Yeah, you did a really good job. But I still remembered. But yeah, I made sure that I knew like what I was talking about and just knew the programs I ran for NSBE when I was the year before. And yeah, I just made sure I had some type of vision that I wanted implemented. Made sure that I could clearly talk about that vision. And I talked with the person who held the position before me and just talked with them and tried to see how it was for them in that position. That was very helpful, and that actually solidified me wanting to run for the position. So that's how I prepared.
Karen?
Okay, I'm gonna go because Karen's still on mute. So I'm gonna just give you the what not to do. I personally did not. I submitted my application on the last day of the extended deadline. That was out of fear though. Like I procrastinated writing everything and didn't do anything. So step 1 to get your application is be bold. You've decided to do it. The worst that they can say is no. And even if they say no, you might come back in a different in a different position, in a different spot. Or you could go up. You could apply for a national position. There's so many things that you could do. Just be confident and just try. That's number one. Two, I wrote my speech at annual convention. But I already had. I wrote what I was gonna say, but I actually knew what my goal was. So I would say, as another tip number two, know what you're trying to accomplish. So I knew that based on what Matt was telling me, I was trying to raise more money than he was, because he was a record breaker and the person before him was a record breaker, and I didn't want to be the weak link. So I was like, I'm gonna break another record. And then I wanted to do some other things that I didn't get done, so I'm not going to talk about them. But I knew what my goals were. I had very clear-cut goals and directives. And then I wrote my speech based off of that. I would recommend that you do, like, you have your metrics and stuff. Like, so if you have anything that you can tie back onto, even if it's vaguely related, like, say you never like raised money or something like that, or you haven't raised a lot of money, like you only raised a couple $1,000s, but you have planned a lot of events. That's a big key skill for a finance chair. And I will go for if you're thinking about doing other position too. Even if you have nothing that's like directly related, if you have a skill that will assist you in the role that you have. And then the third key thing was ask. If you went to nationals last year and heard our speeches, think about the questions that we were asked. I feel like our questions, we actually got off pretty okay. They asked Kara some burning questions and then extended her time. And then they cut off our time. And it was me and Alandra. So that was kind of jacked up because we were actually like, we probably should have been asked because it's like, how are you actually going to get the money? It worked out. I didn't know how to get the money at the time. They would have asked me. If they would have asked me, I would have been looking a little foolish. So make sure you make sure. If your speech, it doesn't really matter because your speech is your speech, and you want to be inspiring things like that. But the question portion, I feel like is a really big place for you to shine, and as a place that I thought that Karen had a great, did a phenomenal job. Especially being on the spot and the eloquence that she answered questions that she didn't know. It's not even that she just did the standard, like, I don't know, I'll get back to you, and she got back to you type stuff. She was able to say, okay, based off of my knowledge in this area, and then based off of a little bit of my intelligence, these are the tools that I'm going to put together and able to give you my best estimate of your question. But on top of that, I'm going to find out the specific answer to your question and then get back to you. That's better than anything that I could have imagined or thought or done on the spot. And that's a strong skill. And it's one that you can only get if you practice it. Because no amount of thinking on your feet can prepare you for the NSBE advisors, who is really the people who will ask you, because your senators might get a little tired. They ask very burning questions. The senators will get you. But your NSBE advisors have a very intimate knowledge. And they're not necessarily even looking to see if you're going to get the question right. Because there's some things they'll ask you that you should not know. That there's no way that you can know. But they want to see how you handle yourself under pressure, because that's the type of person that if you can handle that backlash and say, okay, I didn't do everything right, but I'm going to still keep pushing it. I'm going to still try, and I'm going to still have a great attitude about this. Then you'll succeed in NSBE, you'll succeed in NSBE, and whether you get the position or not, you have people recognize that kind of resilience and will approach you to do other things. Like, oh, okay, you should apply for this. Like, I remember we had this conversation at Nationals last year, so you should do this. Like, people will pay attention to that type of thing. So that's my tips.
I just want to do a side note. Karen was spitting numbers.
Like
straight numbers.
Baffled. I was so confused.
I was like, oh, we know it like that. Okay.
All of you guys were just like wilding up there. Like, you guys, man. I was sitting up there like with my chapter. I was just looking at them like, this is beyond me. Like, they're acting. Yeah, you guys.
This is beyond me.
The question was, how did I prepare for the election? Okay. I decided that I wanted to run for REB in general at the end of FRC. So that's when I started kind of investigating the 2 positions that I wanted to go for. And then I ended up picking regional treasurer. And I started talking to the treasurer at the time, Josh. And he was telling me, like, at the time, like, I don't know anyone else that's interested. I was like, oh, so I'm gonna take all your time, bet. So I think I mentioned this earlier. I scheduled weekly calls with him, and I had questions every call. I actually still have those notes. I was kind of looking at them, and they were incredibly detailed. I'm very surprised. But yeah, so monthly calls, reading the bylaws, and understanding my why. Because like you can say like you're passionate about it all day, you know how to do numbers, or I was treasurer 2-3 years, but it's just like, what is your why? So I think I spent a lot of time defining what my why is and what my what is. So like why and then what you're going to do. Fun fact, I did write my speech 2 months in advance, but then when I got to annual convention, I was like, this is garbage, and I redid it the night before elections.
Okay.
Completely redid it. So like I was like, this is trash. Like I shredded it. I like literally shredded it at the hotel. I was like, I have to get rid of this. So I redid it, and then that's the speech that I gave the day of. And then I think the thing that I was most concerned about was the Q&A portion. So I could only know like as much as like I was permitted to know at the time. But something else that Ruby mentioned is the advisors. So they were asking me questions that like, of course I wasn't even permitted to know, but they were trying to see how I would respond. So it's like, okay, is she gonna lie? Like, is she just gonna like go silent? Is she gonna say, I don't know? Or is she gonna come back with a good response? The one question, I will never forget this. Stacey Ann got up to that mic and she asked me, based on the current regional budget, how much can you allocate per student? And I was like, what? How am I supposed to know that? I was like, I'm not supposed to know that. So like I thought about it, and like I gave one of those responses like Ruby said. And like I got back to Josh, I was about to cry. I was like, was I supposed to know that? Like you didn't tell me that. Like you said you told me everything you know. He was like, Karen, there's no way you would even know that. I don't even know that. I was like, oh, bet, okay. But me being like the way that I am, I got the first financials of my first term, and then I figured out what it was. It was $98.30 per student at the time. So I did email her, and I was like, hey, yo, I figured out what the answer was. You know the answer? But yeah, that is how I prepared for elections. Something that I will also mention, I think I was the only person that was running unopposed. I still treated it as if who else was unopposed?
Secretary
meeting.
Oh yeah. Anyway, but I still treated it as if I was running against somebody because they can choose to vote no confidence and to not elect you. So I would say that if you do end up applying for REB and it's an elected position, you can clearly see that no one is running against you. Don't let that go to your head either. You are still competing against either yourself or that no confidence button, because them senators can click that no confidence button and you will not be elected. So yeah.
Oh, to speak on that, in my opinion, it's actually harder to run against no one, because if you run against someone and you're just less trash than that someone, the chances of like the people not voting for you, that's a really bad like way to think about it. But the chances of people not voting for you at that point, it's like, But if it's just you and everybody's looking like you are our only hope, or we gonna just let it ride, they will let it ride. Mm-hmm. They will let it ride. You do not want that to happen. Don't play yourself. Practice. That's coming from somebody. I think I did my elections okay, and there are still like things just going over my head, and I was very prepared. Another thing, that question time limit, I'm a person, as y'all have seen, that I have to add a bunch of unnecessary words to all my sentences that don't have to do anything with anything I'm talking about. You have to be concise, or you will run out of time. I had great answers to some questions that I just didn't get a chance to answer, and I was very hurt about it because my answers were fire, and I couldn't because I prepared an answer, but I didn't prepare a very concise one. So please do that. Don't be like me.
I only have one more question, so I won't hold you off for too long, but I do want to add real quick for anyone watching and keep hearing about these NSBE advisors. scared. It's okay. It's all out of love. Like the panelists were saying, like they're doing it because they've been in that position and they want to make sure that the people that are running want to understand that, hey, like you might not know this all, and so this is something that you got to think about after this point, and they just want to get you ready just in case. So don't be too pressed about that. But be pressed at the same time. So my last question is just what is any last bit of advice that you would give anyone running or thinking about running for your? No, just wait. Just won't speak.
Am I going first again?
What's some last minute or last second advice? What would you say to anyone thinking about running?
Go ahead, Jared.
Okay, got you. Boom. Do it. Come on, like let's get it. You just do it. Like it's honestly like I was the same way. Like I was like debating like like well, do I really want to do this? I remember going into my senior year. I was like, this senior, it's gonna be a breeze. Like I'm not doing anything. I'm chilling. And then like just after talking with people, I was like, let's see how it goes. And I like this has been like a wonderful decision. It's impacted my life like in so many ways. I've made so many connections, not only just with the people in the RAB and the advisors, but also like different companies that I've talked to and like trying to work things out with. Like it's been so very beneficial, and you tap into like a network that you can't really tap into at like the chapter level or any other level, you know? So I would just say, just if it's even in the slightest bit, like in your mind, like should I just who cares about all that? Just do it. Like come on, like yeah. That's all I have to say.
First of all, I'm gonna give you the good answer. The good answer is you should do it because you're passionate about it. You see that there's a need that needs to be fulfilled. That's when I ran for this, I talked about how I would be remiss if I saw a need in NSBE that needed to be filled, and I knew that I had the skill to do it, and I knew that I had the willpower to do it, and I just didn't out of fear or out of my negligence or what if or something like that. You will not regret it. I can guarantee you. Did I want to do it at the time? No. I was trying to quit the day up. I walked in. I was supposed to sit by Alandra and
I do remember this.
running, and I sat in the back. And I was just not gonna go up there. And you know what? Like, where would I have been if I let that fear or that what if get in my way? I wouldn't have smashed the financial goals that I have. So that's one. And two, the finance chair, if you're trying to get a job, I'm not gonna hold you up. Finance chair is the best job to be. People are trying to give me full-time offers. I'm a junior. People are trying to give me full-time offers. What am I gonna do with that? Like, how am I supposed to know? Like, I just changed my major. I don't even know what I want to do with my life. You're like, well, if you ever have a problem, call me. Just based off of your ability to meet their business need, and their business need is coming to a career fair, and being able to meet an adequate amount of students. Which a lot of those things that they even want are things that are not even in your control. You're just gonna have to rely on membership and programs, your chair, your conference planning chair to do. So you're putting yourself in a position to expand your network in ways that I don't know how other people do it. But being a finance chair is 50% of the Luther Johnson finesse. So I would really recommend, if that's something that you're interested in and you're a person that's very personable and like to, or even if you're not personable, you just like to get in contact and get to know a lot of business acumen and think about how to solve these type of problems. It's a great way to build those skills and to get in contact with those people.
All great words, and I lied. We got another question because it's not my choice. We're doing this for the viewers. So, possibly last question. Okay. Are any of you thinking of running for another RV position? And if so, will you be staying in the finance zone or moving to another zone?
That shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm running for this or not. Run against I'm serious. If you think you can do a better job, run. Like, I don't. Okay,
Ruby, that wasn't the question.
You circle it around, but I see what you're trying to do.
that's not the question. Because if we were like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna run for other finance zone positions, they'd be like, well, no, I'm not gonna run.
That's competition. That's competition right there.
Well, think about it.
Adding fuel to the fire.
I'm not gonna answer this though. Somebody else answer.
Funny. I don't know. I was something I thought about. I'm graduating in the spring. So so if I continue to like do grad school or something like that, it's something that like is in the back of my mind that I'm debating. The question, I guess the answer to the question is I don't know, but we'll see.
Karen?
Yes, I will be running for RAB again. That's all you getting.
You gonna say a finance zone or you need to?
I ain't telling y'all nothing. For viewers, if you watching, run for your position regardless of who is running again, who's running against you, somebody from your chapter running. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Just run. Or apply. Yeah.
Hmm.
No. Okay, I don't know. That was a joke. Kinda. I really, I'm praying about it. Probably. I don't know. NSBE's one of those things that once you get into it, you be like, I'm not gonna do nothing. They be like,
That's straight facts,
oh,
man.
Ruby, you know, you might want to be the program something. I'd be like, maybe. And then you just, I don't know. So I really don't know. It's something I'm gonna have to talk to Karen about because she's looking at me kind of crazy right now.
It's wild. That's fact though. Like I said, like even my last year, like I was like my senior year, I'm not doing anything. Like I'm chilling. I am done. I'm done with everything. I'm done with people. I'm gonna get out here, get this degree, and go home, big fella. But like, I mean, certain things just happen, and then like because those things happen, like I'm in a really good position right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, same answer. I don't know.
Out of here. I have to, but if I ran again, then there wouldn't be positions for new incoming NSBE leaders.
Yes, there
to
would.
fulfill
Yes, there would.
their goals.
Y'all gotta run.
Like,
you gotta be chosen.
Wow, that's great.
I have to vacate this spot in order for somebody else to meet the destiny path that they have in their life.
The destiny path. Oh no.
You trying to like go around the question. Again, I see what you're doing.
Not answering it at all.
The question.
You see, okay, viewers, do you see this? It's because they want to know. They're trying to figure out based off of what I'm doing. Chase a bag. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Okay. So I have no more questions. The viewers, as I'm looking for the last time, have no more questions. So thank you for everyone that has participated, who's watching, our panelists for being honest with us and answering all these hard questions that were thrown to them. So tomorrow is our program zone panel. It's gonna be same time, same place. If you found the link to this, then you can find the link to the program zone. If not, ask Brown. We can definitely give you that information. And with that, if the panelists would be able to just give contact information if anyone wants to hit them up, ask them questions, comment on their great performance on this panel, please give your contact information.
Out loud?
Here? Yeah. Okay.
You can email me at r4nesb. No, you can't. What's my email? Ooh.
R4 Finance.
R4 Finance at NSBE.org. Also, that's probably the only way that you can contact. If you're trying to text me, just group me on the R4 group me, and then you can get my number for that if you're trying to FaceTime or something like that, or you know, like NSBE inquiries and things like that.
Yeah. Jared.
My email is r4frc@nsb.org. You can hit me up in the group me too. If you want my case ID, it's jcb214case.edu. You know what I'm saying? Whatever floats your boat. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up.
For my email is r4treasure@nsb.org. I will do my best to respond to you within a timely manner. If you want to schedule a phone call, I can do that via email as well.
Yeah. So they're all available. They'll answer anything. They're cool people.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, program zone panels tomorrow, and then on Thursday we'll have our admin zone panel, which includes the chair, parliamentarian, and all of the zone heads. So you will see Karen again, along with the other zone heads from the other panels. But that is it for me. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for participating, and have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Bye.